this is actually not that straightforward a choice. I wonder, because, I mean, Aatrox, remember, healing reduction pretty good against Vlad. It's not free win like it might have been at earlier Aatrox power levels, but let's wait and see what the decision here is.
The hands are off the mouse.
They are.
You can't accept a swap. It doesn't look like we're going to ES Sharks. That'll do it.
Mid Lucian versus LeBlanc, gonna be a spicy one to enjoy. We know that he is the master of the LeBlanc and the Lucian, so this is a great time to flex for Kuzan and to get his team one step away from LCK Summer 2019.
This could be the one. We're going to jump into game number 4 right now and see if the Sharks can pull it off, or will VSG defend?
That was something.
Monk Omega in the air. What was that?
Sometimes you just gotta squeal, you know?
They're really happy about that one, about the Sharks doing well.
They should be. They're 2-1 up. They've looked markedly the better team in games number 2 and 3. Braum Rek'Sai, pretty good ability to level 1 invade. Is this vertical jungling? Is this going to be a camp start? We'll find out that information in a while. For now, at least, VSG are thinking about a re-invade. They have not put any time into counter wars. They started Sweeper. That's actually a pretty fortuitous thing for them.
They let Pure and Ryan lead the charge in here. And Sora's going to make it up to the top lane on time anyway. So they're not too unhappy about that one. Ruby coming in, scouts them leaving.
Yeah, a lot of value in this ward that was placed at the Pixel Brush earlier. So a bit of gold trading with the 15 golds from the Spires being swapped over. Ryan's pathing should be more predictable. I believe they would have seen the ward placed down. Right now there's no deep vision because of the sweep. Therefore, Skarner, they're pretty sure starting bot side, but they won't have exact timings on.
First pick here on the Skarner for Ryan. It's not a super popular one in solo queue or anything like that. You would have to imagine that he's played it a couple of times in scrims, but it's definitely something to think about, you know, how well practiced is Ryan exactly on the Skarner.
It was a really big Skarner buff without necessarily being a huge numbers tuning buff with the Spire change. Captain Flowers tweeted about being involved in and consulted on it. It was a really nice buff that meant a lot, but also isn't felt in how fast he kills you, which I think is a pretty cool thing, because the ability to go different jungle camp starts is big for Ryan. Speaking of Ryan, he's mid lane, but it's Skarner pre-6, so you know. But he comes by. But the fact that you can do Krugs when you start as red side Skarner is really big, because you can go red buff Krugs into the Scuttle. The Krugs is such an important camp, and clearing it fast is underrated because so much experience is loaded into that camp. So that buff actually made Skarner way more relevant without necessarily making the Skarner overpowered.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Skarner definitely one of those champions that we'd all like to see a little bit more. Very exciting with his ultimate. I think flashing on in there. We all know the Griffin days of the Lantern as well, and those cool plays.
And he fits the traditional archetype of a jungler if you look at the 10-year lifespan of League of Legends, more than Camille and the junglers that have dominated in the last couple of years. Because he gets in there, his damage in the early game is pretty decent. He offers very strong engagement CC, in this case single target, compared to, say, some of the other jungle tanks like Zac. But then, eventually, he's kind of a protector, right? And that's what I think a lot of people want the jungle to be, and by a lot of people I think laners mostly are the people that want that, but there are jungle tank players out there as well. So the fact that a pretty honest champion who just wants to get level 6 fast and does his one thing really, really well is in the meta again without that champion having like a 780 ratio or something insane, I can't complain.
It definitely feels good. Doesn't feel like an unhealthy buff or anything like that, so excited to see what he can do in this game. As I mentioned before, it's going to force Kuzan to get that QSS a little bit earlier, even though Lucian can be slippery. If you just press R onto him, he's going to basically die with the amount of burst damage that LeBlanc and the rest of them will have. Same goes for Ezreal. we'll have to wait and see when he decides to get his QSS, if he does at all.
Blue buff access and Hex Drinker, you really like the idea of Kuzan. Press the attack ignite, blowing up a LeBlanc. Not often a LeBlanc gets outplayed in a lane trade, but Lucian can make her honest. Top side, speaking of outplays, this matchup's not the best.
He went back in.
He wanted to phase one.
Yeah. Knowing his limits well, but that time around, Soar definitely got the better of that trade.
That was actually very loud from Rek'Sai.
Was that Rek'Sai? I thought that was... Isn't that Skarner?
Yeah, I looked dead on at Skarner and said Rek'Sai. They clearly hold very different spots in my mind.
Yeah. They also should sound very differently as they do. I don't play a lot of Rek'Sai. I don't actually hear a lot of Rek'Sai noises. And
Squeal's not the right word. She screams a lot.
Okay.
She's mad all the time. Whereas Skarner...
Isn't she like a void monster or something? Yeah.
And Skarner's just kind of depressed about his existence. So that's kind of how things go there. Speaking of Skarner, not too much to be depressed about. Soon to be level 6, about 3.5 camps away, judging on the experience bar. That sound, that's the one that I heard yesterday. The sound that during those trades, it sounds like either an Internet Explorer like error message. I feel like that's used in the client when you like misbuy things. I don't know, I can't isolate. I believe it's an Aatrox sound, but I don't know it for sure.
Used in the client when you misbuy things?
Next time I hear it, I'll try and articulate it better. I was talking to Atlas about this.
Maybe you can imitate it for us the next time it happens as well.
It's like a warning sound. That's kind of the only way. I don't have any other words.
Yeah, but how am I going to know what it is unless you make the sound?
Sorry.
I'm waiting.
I was trying to show it to my co-caster. Remember that it was Atlas. Didn't have all the reference there. He needs to just calm down. He's really loud. That's new.
He's really angry. Speaking of screaming, it seems like
what life event would you have had to have happen to scream like he's screaming right now? When's Brendan Valdez like this?
I mean...
Tax season?
Tax season, yeah. You know me very well from recent times. No, but... I mean, anytime I play Korean solo.
That's true. I know you very well from recent times.
It's very, very spot on. Yeah, I mean, if your job was, I don't even know if it's his job, I don't know the lore, but if this was your life, you're just running around fighting stuff that hurts you. It's kind of scary. Speaking of which, Light trying to avoid this one, but he's going to get pulled in, and the damage is easily there. First blood will go the way of VSG.
Well, that was straightforward. R into doom for Light. Not even heal would have saved him there. He was done. All ends up. Use a nice cricket analogy. It's the first blood of the game. The game is being played at Skarner's pace, which is happy news for VSG.
Yeah, they can snowball this into some other nice stuff. The first Drake might go their way, unless Catch has something to say about it.
He does.
Okay, and if he dies, this is going to be really, really sad. As he goes in, misses the smite on a Cloud Drake, and then dies. That's not how you want to be remembered here, Catch.
How would he be remembered now? What do you say in the eulogy? Like that's
how I'm gonna remember him now. He's gonna be that guy who did that.
But you know, like his loved ones are crying about the events that just transpired and his death.
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention it, but that's what's really what I'm thinking about.
So just sorry for your loss.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, Catch is dead. Back to life now, but yes, very forgettable first death, and we kind of wondered about the Vladimir top he's losing. The Skarner has gotten a free jungling phase, kind of already looking to Kuzan to try to salvage the mid lane. Otherwise, a lot of things go in the way of VSG.
It's definitely nice for them to make some of the changes we were hoping for come out and then have a great start on the backs of one of their carries, Ryan, that we were hoping would come back.
All right, almost heard the chime. That chime.
Is it on his third cue?
I think it's loudest on his third cue. But think of Internet Explorer error messages next time. It'll probably be a future.
Yeah, he didn't use it on screen there.
These are the things I think about in high-octane games like this one. Okay, that's pretty high octane.
Oh, look at that.
That's a lot of damage.
Oh, man. He had to flash that or he was going to die. As Jisoo as well, no TP, is certainly being pressured in the top lane.
This is a lot of lane power for the side of VSG. Only mid lane is only going CS for CS, so mid lane's actually doing very fine. Here's the turret dive attempt.
Just gotta wait for the pool unless he has his ultimate come out here, as he will. Soar trying his best to really punish Jisoo for staying.
His flash timing there wasn't the best from Soar, and with that summoner down, he took 3 turret shots and wasn't able to pick up the kill, so actually ends up being an out trade by Jisoo because he gets easier access to minions that before the Aatrox would have been heavily harassing around.
He also missed the cannon, which is kind of sad. Had to mention that one, but either way, I mean, they're still winning the lanes. Bottom lane is doing fantastically. It's really going to be up to Kuzan here. The culling comes out, trying to get that when he flashes in. With the Ignite, not quite going to be able to kill him, and Catch not in range for that ultimate just yet. Stunner. Flash comes on in. Here's Tom Kent as well, trying to punish the Rek'Sai. Yes, he will. An extra kill. Going to go the way of VSG.
Kuzan seemed to flash in place during that, if I caught it correctly, and then they were outrun by Abyssal Voyage. Another power play moment for VSG. Some of their own creations, some of them just too much boldness from the Sharks. Game 5 wasn't looking as likely before we started, but with how this one has come together, VSG are just kind of beating ES Sharks in every kind of facet of the game.
It's just weird that we can have a best of 5 and game 1 is like, okay, this is kind of even. Game 2, it's like, VSG are not on these guys' level. And then game 4 is like, wait, what happened? Like, is it just blue side is OP or something like that? Because now it looks like the Sharks are not quite on VSG's level, although
how many
Kuzan's play
was
was
this
okay.
Wait. No, it was a late flash. Okay. No worries there. No Teemo problems, but a trade of summoners, no kill, and then Catch walking to the weak side. He thought he was interrupting Herald. Speaking of interrupting.
Not going to interrupt you there, as down he goes. Pretty straightforward. We'll have to see how that one does come through, though. Looks like it was a gank from Catch to make it happen. Didn't even have to use his flash. So.
Nice timing. The ultimate unavailable from Soar. Jisoo picking up not the kill, but an assist is still. A bit more time for the Vladimir. ES Sharks already need their time. If they can subvert one of the next Skarner ganks and Jisoo to keep farming up, he's got a carry mindset. He's got a champion that does very well against the enemy. We catch the replay, saw pretty low, and just needed that extra 25 seconds to try to turn this one around.
Straight up. Didn't see him there. Went into the river instead of going back in his lane, so he got caught out and killed. Lots of control now around the bottom side, as it is just the ocean.
With this river control, what you want to do as Varus Tom Kent, we've already seen kind of a sampler the last couple of times, is try to next turret dive, take the turret, and the Herald should be free as well to plonk down in the mid lane. So a bot lane turret dive was what we thought would be their primary objective. Right now, they're focusing more on growing their gold lead, walking up with the Abyssal Voyage. Maybe even a mid lane turret instead of the bot lane.
Yeah, the Sharks pretty slow to react to this one. They finally come in as Catch is like, oh, I can't just do the Wolves. And down Shelly will go. But it's like 3 turret plates did go the way of VSG in one fell swoop.
So much working on Kuzan's mindset. Triple control ward. Bot lane has been getting what feels like almost 2v2 kills. There's a lot of backup, even though the Lucian matchup is just fine in the 1v1, and now Ryan comes bot lane. They haven't quite taken these 2 turrets, but with the setup and the Abyssal Voyage rotational speed being question marks for ESS to consider, VSG finding a lot of advantages bot side.
Yeah, Ryan's still looking for it here, but...
Wow, have we ever seen this before? 3, 3, and 3.
Wow, it's a lot of gold, too, compared to 0.
Before the Kesper Cup, during the Kesper Cup, we of course had 15 turret plates taken but we didn't have the overlay. With overlays live, I haven't seen the equal amount of plates, apart from like 0, 0, 0.
Yeah.
So two
we
plus
actually saw
plates.
that right now here from the side of the, from the Sharks.
So 3 plates to 0 in every lane. A 3.6k gold lead. Think about how much of that gold lead is just plates, right? That's 1440 gold if my math doesn't fail me. Yeah, 1440 gold worth of turret plates. So
yeah,
that's 2 kills. Yes, we know about that, but the turret plates are contributing a significant amount of the advantage for VSG.
Nice strike here for their being ahead, and speaking of which, they're really trying to push their advantage once again. TP here on a Veritas, but they're going to find Googer down in the bottom side. All alone here is just going to pay the price as TP does come in. They're thinking about going for this engage. Not quite going to go for the flash engage, and meanwhile, Sora's like, okay, we'll take the top turret instead.
That was a really, really bad teleport from Jisoo. We all know what Kobe would have said there. It's after someone's already died. He doesn't have the items. He doesn't even have an item. He doesn't even have a damn proto belt to try to chase.
Can't even get in range.
And someone had already died, and the minion wave was going to push into his turret, so it wasn't even an answering teleport. It was a proactive one. That is not what you want to see from Jisoo, kind of reminiscent of his Scion mishaps the other day. And suddenly, the gold lead is way bigger for VSG.
It's kind of what I was saying before, like, game number 2 kind of looked like this for the Sharks, but now it's totally turned on its head as Skuzan has to flash again to get out of harm's way.
I'm sure Sora knows his damage ranges on this Aatrox because he all-in. Lucian was at around 1,000 health, so I don't think that was going to work. But Flash is down, Flash for Flash, all things considered. Sora chasing on to catch. You never want to discount Vladimir late game, but that late game is so far away. And this map, with a rotational advantage, with no value out of the Lucian counter pick in mid, feels like almost every single future scenario suits VSG unless you can close your eyes and wake up at 35 minutes as ES Sharks.
And there's just more gold on the map that's slowly filling the coffers of VSG. They get mid, they get bot. Everything's falling basically on the outside here. But we've seen this before. Again, sometimes teams get so far ahead so quickly that you take all the objectives and then you're like, well, what now? We're just going to push waves into the enemy team and let them farm a bit. They do have this Skarner that has gotten off to a great start and does have the flash, so may look for some picks with that one.
But amusingly, the team more likely to fall into that lull state you're alluding to would have been ESS if they got ahead, because they can only team fight. They could try sieging with 280 carries, but they wouldn't have found too many inroads, that they would kind of be waiting for the second Baron, right, to close out the game. Meanwhile, VSG can push in, they can out-rotate, they have a TP advantage, so if the LeBlanc can answer Lucian, they can get a teleport flank quite easily, not even mentioning the Abyssal Voyage. Feels like VSG have more tricks, and the tricks they're putting out are better. So if it's Magician versus Magician, I'm watching the VSG show in game number 4, and ES Sharks need to really surprise me with some dark magic to get back into this game.
Does feel like that. They're going to be relying on the Vampire for sure. I mean, they do have double 80 carry, so there is that. Perhaps if this game did go on for another 10-15 minutes and somehow VSG weren't able to get picks or they botched something, then maybe, but Kuzan's just gonna blow his QSS and say, well, take me with you, I'm dead.
Did he QSS nothing? I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
Whoops. I guess he was expecting to change the corruption out of vision.
Maybe he tried to use his corrupting pot or something.
Whoopsie. Maybe he tried to Blade and then had Blade in his usual QSS spot. That's probably what happened. That was a whoopsie.
Or he just messed it up.
You know, he was dead either way.
Yeah. It was 3 guys. As the sound went there for a minute. Oh, okay.
We're too zoomed out.
Yeah. Too far in the sky as now Jisoo really trying to punish Soar here. Can't quite get in range. Didn't have that Proto Belt up and available just yet. Oh, that was weird. The E disappeared as mid-devour did happen.
Seems like ES Sharks are likely to disappear in game number 4. This is a really, really standard closeout with more tools from VSG, and the Atlas wallet smack will most likely happen in a 5v5. Kind of need to see one full Needless Large Rod item completed, not the actual Needless Large Rod, the item from Jisoo before I'm going to be convinced otherwise. I mean, VSG could make a huge blunder and lose Baron.
That would be really the only way I would see that this game could flip on its head. The Varus is 3-0-2. You have so many tools to make your win conditions come through. It would definitely be quite the feat. Or should we call it a defeat? I'm just going off of your decanter.
Yes, because this is so the same.
Yeah. You know, you can get a feat, you know, achieve something, or you can get a defeat, which is the
What
same
is
thing
the
as
opposite
not.
of a feat? A failure?
A defeat. You're not listening, Papa.
In some ways, you're not completely wrong, but a feat is like an act of amazement, let's say. The opposite would be... I'm just trying to think of what the like actual correct word is, rather than a word similar to the opposite. A blunder? Maybe a blunder. I wonder.
I guess so. A blunder? It doesn't really have the same ring, though. Like, a feat is like overcoming this massive challenge or something. You know.
But a blunder's like misplaying your hand kind of level, so maybe you're right. Just thinking about it.
Yeah. You and your big diction.
Gotta talk about something in some of these games. Let's talk about this.
He was thinking about flashing, getting close, but now he's got a TP coming in and catch. There's the flash. He's going to be able to get the kill with that one, so makes it happen. Gets the kill, and did have to burn his flash, but at the end of the day, when nothing else really is going on, they could get the kill and maybe even look at the Baron here as the rest of VSG are moving over to that objective.
It's just another outnumbering big pick, but this would be what they want from it, right? The Baron is only 21 minutes in. When are ES Sharks even going to check it? I don't even know if there's been a blue trinket used. They're going to lose it.
Yeah. Even if they know, it just feels like they're not confident to go in, as now they're finally checking through a million wards as, well, they flew too close to the sun here. Soar now getting into range, doesn't have his flash this time around, as nice big damage comes out from Light. Is going to kill the clone, but that's about all he can kill in this game. That's now looking for the follow-up.
Okay. Here.
Gonna get Ruby, but can they get anything else? Once again, Jisoo not quite able to make the flank work.
VSG just got a free Baron and almost flanked themselves, trying to find some people to kill on the back end to show off their nice new purple buff. They're gonna get out with 4 buffs after all. Ruby losing is not ideal. Blue buff picked up by Veritas, and wow, Jisoo actually very proactive, trying to find a fix. They're trying to find a map objective before Ruby respawns. Now, if Ruby still had teleport, it'd be a disaster, because then he couldn't actually side lane with the Baron. Because he doesn't, look, it isn't ideal, but they don't lose a 1-3-1 win condition. It's interrupt!
He's gonna flash over this one and tunnel away. Looks like he should be able to get to safety, although Soar, he's not giving up on this one just yet. Still looking for him. Unfortunately, he doesn't have double dash anymore, so is going to let the Rek'Sai get away once again.
And consider that it's a 9,000 gold lead, a lot. No Infernals, so pretty honest, but 3 QSSs have been built there, so it's more like a 12 and a bit K gold lead, which is too much, too damn much. Baron buff stats should be discussed. So I believe it's what, support and top lane without QSS? We don't have the overlay up, but I believe that's true.
Yeah, I believe you are right, as Veritas going 1v5 over here. Has a little bit of help from his friend, the Skarner. Not much to scream about anymore, as down will go the Vladimir. You really need him to be doing stuff, but he's kind of just getting picked and dying immediately.
Soar going to be pushing in bot lane. Baron still a minute and a half, not even just a minute and a half, so a couple of minion waves coming in, backdooring this turret, and you know what, he'll keep fighting for now.
Kuzan is trying so hard to make this happen. The Devourer is not going to come through. Veritas, look at him stand up to all of those enemies as Cat there was only one direction for him to go, and it was to his death, as the rest of him going to get a big redemption into the follow-up Baron push.
And now VSG just pushing through. They've already got one. The inhibitor turret, I believe. Nope, just chunked it out. This should be the first inhibitor turret of the game.
Ruby moving forward, and unfortunately for Jitsu, there's not much that he can do alone, especially with the super fed Varus that just shoots him in the face if he gets anywhere near him. So first inhibitor goes down with that Baron push. At least it should be the last here for the Sharks.
Standard, but scarily effective by VSG. Never really had any doubt about ES Sharks in game number 3, and now, as you've already alluded to a couple of times, feels like the nameplates have just been shifted around, and the blue side somehow also means that you play your standard comp just a little bit better. So we have to assume kind of a foregone conclusion that ES Sharks will pick blue side if we get to game number 5. Probably going to be no roster changes either, so will we know before we see early game execution who we should favor? Because VSG have woken up in a big way in game number 4.
I like the tenacity, the ability to go down in 2 straight up embarrassing games and get destroyed by the Sharks 2 in a row, and then come out in game 4 with a clean slate. You know, a couple of members come back and say, you know, let us back in, let us take the reins back. And really got to hand it to them for turning this one around in a big way.
Now, all their players have a lot of experience. Not all of them LCK experience, of course, but Soar has played in the LCK on Sonic Boom. You probably want to forget that. We're talking back in 2015, 2016, and actually Catch was one of his teammates back then. Ryan has played around the world. I believe played in the LJL. Ruby was a trainee on a Freakin' Freaks, Veritas in the EULCS, and Pure is a long-time LCK pro on Najin for many years alongside OQ. Still, they walk up here, and could there be any punishment?
Well, they're going to get on top of that top Pens, but look at Soar and Ruby into the background. The Hemo play finally comes through, but Googer's going to die, and so is Patch. They just straight up don't have enough money and not enough damage to hold off VSG in the onslaught.
And looking for a payout, they were waiting for the late game. It ain't coming. VSG is forcing game number 5.
It's going to happen. These 2 challenger teams trying so hard to keep the dream alive. As Jitsu is going to go down here, the Nexus will as well. We are going to be going to that game 5 that you did mention. Nicely done by VSG. A fantastic performance to bring this one to a final game.
And how often does a team fight back from 2-1 down without even breaking into a sweat? This was a second gear game by VSG, and they just plowed over ES Sharks, who never got it together. Permanent exit from the promotion tournament and a return to challengers. That is the fate that will go down. But amusingly, it's the same damn chart. The blue side team just wins.
And it was almost a perfect game, too. It was only 3 kills to the side of the Sharks, and that's it. So the nameplates, what do they even mean anymore? These 2 teams seemingly more even than we thought.
And if we added turret plates, the overlay would be 9-0 in terms of turret plates, because there were no turret plates on enemy side either. So it's all about a game 5. We're going to come back, and 1 draft is the difference between sticking in the tournament being done so.
Now it's a best of 1. We started at 5, then 3, and now it all comes down to 1 more game. So make sure you guys are staying tuned to see who is going to go up against Jin Air in that final game. Let's find out after the break.